Okay, so we have come to the last part of this topic, which is on economic system. Okay, so there are actually a few types of economic system. Okay, but I am going to focus on the two main economic system that are used mostly in all countries. Okay, so we have mixed economy, socialism, capitalism, and Islamic economy. So I am going to focus on socialism and capitalism. Okay, mixed economy is actually the mixture of socialism and capitalism. So you can just combine the characteristics of both economic system, socialism and capitalism, to understand mixed economy. Okay, so what do we mean by economic system is actually how the economy in a certain country works. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that you have heard of these terms, capitalism and socialism. Okay, but what does it actually mean, and what are the characteristics of each of these economic system, the advantages as well as the disadvantages of each of these economic system. Okay, so we are going to look at the first type of economic system, which is capitalism. So what do we mean by capitalism? It is actually an economic system where individuals and sellers make economic decisions using a price system. So capitalism actually is a free economic system, which means everything in the economy or the market in the economy is run on its own. Okay, there is no intervention by any central authority, or in other words, there is no intervention by the government. Okay, so now we are going to look at the characteristics of capitalism. Okay, so capitalism is where there is private ownership of resources. Okay, it means that the resources in the economy, such as land, buildings, or any other natural resources, okay, some of them are privately owned. Okay, and if the resources are privately owned, it means that the private entities can use it for their own benefit. Okay, for their own purposes. Okay, they can use it for their production to gain profit. Okay, so that is what we mean by private ownership. Okay, so meaning there is no government that can stop them from using or utilizing the resources that they own. Okay, second characteristic is freedom of enterprise and choice. Okay, this means that the enterprise or the businesses in the economy are free to produce any product that they think is um, is going to give profit to them, and they are free to trade, okay, with each other. Okay, and then in terms of consumer sovereignty, okay, that means that consumers preferences, consumers taste are taken into consideration in this economic system. Okay, in capitalism, consumers preferences are very, very crucial, very important, because capitalists or businesses, okay, will produce products based on what the consumers like, or based on what the consumers want. Okay, so consumers preferences, what they demand the most, that is what the producers are going to produce. Okay, so production will depend on what the consumers want. Okay, high competition. Okay, high competition because we will have a lot of sellers, okay, basically selling the same thing. Okay, if that certain product is highly demanded, maybe we will have a lot of sellers that will sell the same products. Okay, so the benefit here is that they will compete in terms of the quality of the product. So that is a good thing actually in terms of capitalism. Okay, because they need to compete, so they will keep producing products that are better from other sellers. Okay, government intervention in capitalism is very minimal. Okay, so government only intervene in terms of providing public goods, okay, in terms of implementing rules, okay, and regulation. Okay, so they are not involved in any decision making for these private entities, okay, in their businesses. Okay, price mechanism. Alright, so how does the price in capitalism is set? Okay, so the price is set based on demand and supply in the economy. If the products are demanded, the products will be supplied. Okay, kalau produk tu ada permintaan, produk tu akan dihasilkan. So the supply, the production will be based on the number of demand. Okay, so the price will be more stable. Okay, because they only produce based on the demand, and the price will be set based on the market equilibrium. So in the third topic, I will explain further in detail about how the price, okay, in capitalist market is set without government intervention. Without government intervention here means the government cannot control the price of the product that these capitalists sell. Okay? Alright. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of capitalist market or capitalist economic system? Okay, the advantage is production will be according to consumers' need. This is what I have explained just now about consumer sovereignty. So whatever the producers produce, the capitalists produce, will depend on what the consumers need. So there is no wastage of resources. Okay, there is economic freedom. They are free to sell whatever they want as long as it does not give any harm to consumers. Okay, the price can be set based on the market. So no government can influence the change in the price. Okay. Efficient utilization of resources because they produce based on consumers' need. So you go back to the first point just now, production according to consumers' need. So they only use the resources according to what the production requires. Okay, according to the demand made by consumers. So there will be no wastage. Okay, variety of consumer goods. Okay, so capitalists, because they have high competitors, okay, they are in high competition, so they need to keep inventing new products. They need to be very competitive either nationally or globally, locally or globally. So what they need to do is they need to introduce new products. So the good thing here is that consumers are exposed to various types of products. So they have a lot of options, okay, in the market. And then enhance trade, business, and research and development. So since these capitalists will want to keep improving their businesses, they want to keep developing their products. So what they will do is they will keep doing research, okay, which is a good thing. Okay, so research will lead to development of new products. Automatic incentives. Okay, we are talking about the quality of products that they will produce. Okay, since the competition is very high, okay, so these capitalists will compete in terms of quality. If they produce better quality product, consumers will choose them, okay, and consumers will not choose the other sellers. So they will keep improving in terms of producing better quality products. Okay, flexibility is in terms of shifting in the production. Okay, if a certain product is in high demand, they will produce that product. And if the demand of the product starts to decline, they can always shift to other types of production. So the production will always develop, okay, in based on the demand in the market. Okay, in terms of disadvantages, demerits, okay, is in terms of inequality of distribution of wealth and income. The bad thing about capitalism is they don't care whether you afford to buy the product or not. Okay, if you want the product and you have the money, then you can buy the product. And if you want the product but you don't have the money, then they don't mind, because there will be other consumers that will buy their product. Okay, there will be other consumers that will demand for their product. So there is not much of social welfare here, okay, because there is no government to take care of the society. Okay, so there will be inequality in terms of distributing the income. Okay, inflation and high unemployment rate. Okay, why do we say there will be inflation and high unemployment rate in capitalism economic system? Is because capitalists will always take advantage to increase the price of their products, or to sell their products at a higher price. Okay, because they only care about people who can afford to buy their product. Okay, and those who cannot afford will not get anything. Okay, will not be able to buy the product. High unemployment rate is because usually capitalists, their main objective is to get as much profit as they can. So what they will do is they will try to reduce the cost of production. So how to reduce the cost of production? One of the ways is by reducing the number of workers. So they don't take as much workers. They will only use the existing workers available in their production to produce as much as the workers can. So that will lead to a higher unemployment rate, because they will not take too much labor, okay, for their production. Lack of social welfare, that is related to the first point just now. Okay, wasteful competition. Wasteful competition happens when they keep producing new things, okay, that will require them to use more resources, okay, but the production might not be a good production, okay, so that will lead to wasteful type of competition. Okay, misallocation of resources. Okay, the use of resources will be too extreme, meaning they will just take all the available resources to increase their production so they can gain more profit, which is not a good thing for resources sustainability. Okay, because when we talk about sustainability, okay, what I mean here is that we need to make sure the resources can be used for future generations. But these capitalists, they don't care. As much as they can get more profit, they will use all the resources available in the economy. So the bad thing about capitalists is there is no one to control the allocation of resources. Okay, and then in terms of social cost, okay, social costs here occur when capitalists produce the product without taking into consideration the environmental effect. Okay, let's say if you have a manufacturer and they cause a lot of pollution, for example air pollution, water pollution coming from their manufacturing site, so that will give impact on the environment. So the cost is actually to the people living near the manufacturing area, so they will get bad impact from the pollution. Okay, so it is a cost to the society because they need to pay for their healthcare and so on if they are sick. Okay, so capitalists, they don't pay for their expenses, for these society's expenses when they are sick. So that will be a cost to the people, okay, that they have to bear. Alright, next is socialism. So the difference between socialism and capitalism is that socialism is an economic system where the central authority plays a bigger role, meaning the economic decisions are mostly made by the central authority, or in other words, the government lah. Okay, so now let's look at the characteristics. Okay, so in socialism, there will be public ownership of resources. So what we can say here is that most of the natural resources in the economy, available in the economy, are publicly owned, meaning it is owned by the government, it is owned by the nation. So if any capitalist or any producers want to acquire or obtain the resources, they need to pay royalty to the government. An example that I can give here is in the case of Malaysia, let's say Petronas. Okay, they are utilizing the resources in terms of petroleum. So when they take our petroleum, okay, what they will have to do is they will have to pay royalty to the government. So that is like a compensation for taking the resources from our country, from the country, okay, or which is owned by the country. Okay, central planning authority. Okay, everything in the economy is planned or is monitored by the government. Okay, even in terms of price. Okay, here we can see here price mechanism is less important. So in terms of price, the government will always intervene. So in capitalism economic system, the price is based on demand and supply. But when government comes into the picture, what will happen is the government will always make adjustment on the price. Okay, why? Because the government needs to make sure that the people, okay, can afford to buy at least basic necessities. So if you notice, a lot of basic necessities products such as food and so on, okay, the price are controlled by the government. Okay, there are price ceiling implemented by the government. So that is how government intervene in the market price. Okay, so that is a bit different in terms of price mechanism. Central control and ownership, basically the same thing as the first point just now. Okay, right. So the benefit of socialism, okay, socialism economic system is in terms of production, which is according to basic need. So the government will focus on producing or making products that are important to the people. Okay, they will focus on producing basic necessities product to the people. Okay, so that is good because everyone can afford to get basic necessities. Equal distribution of income and wealth. So the government will make sure that there will be um, equal distribution of income. For example, what the government can do is the government can implement tax system where the government will collect taxes from the high income earner, from the high income group, and the tax money will be used to provide facilities for the low income earners. Okay, facilities here include healthcare, education, good education system, so that people from low income group can get access to these basic necessities such as healthcare and education, as well as food. Okay, better allocation of resources. Okay, so the government will control the use of resources in terms of imposing tax, okay, and royalties and so on. So the capitalists or the producers cannot simply take whatever resources that the country have. If they take it, then they have to pay tax or royalty to the government. No serious unemployment or inflation. Okay, so when there is government, supposedly there should not be any severe unemployment rate level or inflation rate, because the government is there to make sure that the people are able to find job. Okay, the people are able to earn income. Okay, and in terms of inflation, okay, the government will be there to control the increase in the price level. Okay, rapid economic development, because the focus of a government is to make sure that the economy keeps developing. Okay, so they will come up with their own policies, their own plans to make sure that economy keeps growing. Okay, social welfare is taken care of. Okay, when there is government, okay, there will always be aware of the welfare of the society. Uh, they will focus on reducing poverty rate. Okay, they will focus on helping those from the lower income group. Okay, this is actually to reduce the income gap, okay, between the high income group and the low income group. Okay, the disadvantage of socialism is lack of incentives and initiative by individuals. Okay, if you notice, when you depend too much on the government, you will not be too independent. So the benefit of capitalism in as compared to socialism is that capitalists, they are more independent. They tend to keep developing their production, okay, to make sure that they can compete globally. But if the government is there, okay, we will always think that the government will help us. So we will not develop ourselves, okay, as a consumer or producer. Loss of economic freedom and consumer sovereignty. This is when there is when you are in a socialist economic system, there will be lack of economic freedom because the economic transaction will be controlled by the government. So you don't have that 100% of rights to do everything in the economy. Absence of competition, because you go back to the first point just now, lack of incentives and initiative by individuals. So you don't feel like you have to compete, okay, because the government is there to assist you. Okay, so that is somehow not a good mindset, okay, when you are in a socialist economic system. And then waste of economic resources, okay, because you are using the resources uh, for focus on social welfare. Okay, so the government needs to make sure that the resources are sustainable as well. Okay, but that is quite hard to achieve when you want to make sure that the welfare of the society is taken care of. Right? So I think that's it for topic 1. If you have further questions, then you can ask in discussion later on.